It's been 84 years since the start of E3 2017, but we still have more games to show you. Brandon and I are here with Al, who's going to give us a live gameplay demo of Total War Warhammer 2.
Indeed, yeah. So my good friend and colleague James Dogbert Given over here is going to be playing through the quest battle that we've got on the show floor here called the Battle of the Fallen Gates. He's going to be playing through on hard. So there'll be mockery if there is failure. failure incites mockery. So
no pressure.
So no pressure. So he's going to kick us off now.
Give us a quick overview. These are tactics games, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a quest battle, which is there are many different battle types in the game. Obviously, you know, it's a turn-based game of empire building and conquering, and then you go into the battles and you dive down to the real-time, real-time control, the tactical battle. So this is a quest battle, which is one of the kind of narrative quest chain battles you get for the various characters that you choose to lead your faction when you start a campaign. And this is one for Krokgar, legendary lord, one of the legendary lords who leads the Lizardmen, and he's arrived at the Fallen Gates, this kind of magical temple area. It's an ancient site of power, and essentially an ancient teleportation site for the old ones who used to zip around the galaxy and fiddle around with planets, and they were the gods back in the day. And the High Elves have come because they've sensed all this magical juju going on around here, and they've come to see what they can find here. And the Lizardmen are like, nope, got to get them out. So what we're going to see here is James taking control of a Lizardman force and heading up the hill to the Fallen Gates at the top there, and attempting to kill the two Elven mages that are causing so much trouble. So what you're seeing here is the first line of attack for the Lizardmen, and as you can see, the army is very heavily characterized by dinosaur-like creatures. That's a Bastillodon on the right here. This is Grimlock, which is the epic mount of Krokgar, the Lord himself, who's sat on the top there. He's riding him into battle. And on the far side, we've got a sort of Triceratops-type creature as well there, called a Stegodon.
Seems like we've got a pretty large battlefield to work with here. We
do, yeah. And what's interesting is right at the start here, this part on the bridge. Oh, let's just watch him go in. Oh, yeah, there we
nice.
go. So yeah, these big guys do massive splash attacks. They'll do tail swipes and they'll pick a guy up in the air and chew him around and fling him and stuff. But yeah, sorry, going back to what I was saying. This is an example of a choke point battle. So right at the front, you saw the gate there, which the elves are defending, and this is a new battlefield type, a new battle type for Total War Warhammer. We had them in previous Total War games, and we brought them back to Total War Warhammer to bring greater variety to battles. And they're fun, they're tactically interesting, they pose you a challenge because, if the enemy's in control of that choke point, then you've got to figure out how to winkle them off the bridge. They're going to want to put their toughest melee troops up front and stop you from being able to advance. Right. Same, if you control that in the game, then you've got a natural tactical advantage.
So these sort of missions, are these outside of that grand campaign that everyone thinks of when they think of sort of a Total War game? Exactly
that, yes. So as your legendary lords level up, they gain experience points, and you spend those experience points on new skills and upgrading, any spell casting that they do and that kind of stuff. But they have a sort of personal tree at the top of the skills tree panel, and what this the first items you see there are quest chains. So once you've unlocked a quest chain, it'll then give you a series of tasks around the world to go and do, and you'll follow a narrative chain, and you'll get a bit of storytelling which advances your understanding of the character himself. Awesome. And they usually culminate in a quest battle such as this. So if Krokgar wins this battle, for example, he'll get awarded with a legendary item. One of the legendary items that's unique to him in the tabletop game.
Is it correct that your combat is a mix of turn-based and real-time?
So the combat itself is pure real-time.
Okay.
It's the main campaign game is a turn-based kind of game of expansion and empire building, where you'll see these armies represented by the general on that map. Okay. And you'll move them around the map, and when they meet another army, or you tell you tell your general and his army to attack a city, you'll dive down, you'll load into a battle such as this,
which is all in real time.
Yeah, exactly. Gotcha. Yeah. So it's that unique combination of the two that kind of characterizes what Total War is.
So I played a ton of Total War, the original Warhammer, and sort of the antagonist or the driving force of that campaign was, the invasion of the Chaos Legion and whatnot. So what is driving Total War Warhammer 2, narratively speaking?
So narratively speaking, it's the Great Vortex, which is essentially a huge permanent tornado which sits above Ulthuan, which is the homeland of the High Elves. Because of course now in Warhammer 2 we're dealing with the New World, which is a bunch of new continents.
Big Western continent.
Exactly, way over the Americas, if you will, of the Warhammer world. And so the Great Vortex was created by the High Elves many millennia ago to defeat a massive demonic chaos invasion that was going on back then. And what this Vortex did, it was sucked all the winds of magic out of the world and blasted chaos back to the poles, back to the rifts that they'd torn open and blew all the demons back into the realm of chaos, right? So that Vortex still exists today in Warhammer terms. And it's become unstable. Something's happened, which you'll learn about narratively at the start of the game. Something's happened to destabilize it. And all of the races, all the playable races, the four new playable races of the game, they've all got their eye on it. They've all got a plan for this thing. Two of them want to preserve it, they want to heal it, they want to mend it and preserve the equilibrium in the world. And the other two have rather more malicious, malign designs on the Vortex. They want to exploit it for its wild energies and that kind of stuff. So this is what drives the campaign for Warhammer 2. And it's a new approach for us. It's a very new approach for Total War.
It feels like a sort of a race against the clock kind of thing, right?
Precisely. Yeah. You're a race against the races, as it were, because you've got all the races have a series of rituals that they can perform unique to them, which kind of gets them ahead on the racetrack against the other races to ultimate control and domination of the Vortex. So you'll see that represented in the user interface. You'll see we show the player how
the progression
far ahead those guys are. Yeah, so if you see the High Elves charging ahead, you're going to think, well, actually, I'm going to maybe stop what I'm doing and stop expanding over in this part of the world because I need to go and focus on the High Elves and stop them from performing their rituals because they're going to win. You know.
Speaking of races, Warhammer 2 brings 4 new ones.
It does indeed,
3 of them have been announced. 1 is not. The Lizardmen, High Elves, and Dark Elves.
That's right.
Can you give us just a quick rundown about sort of the unique properties of each of the races,
sure thing,
how they fit a playstyle?
Yeah, sure. So the Lizardmen, campaign-wise, they're based down in Lustria, which is
the jungle,
the kind of rainforests and jungles of the southern continent. They're a very ancient race. They can tap into, gameplay-wise, they can tap into some of the power that the old ones left behind when they departed the world after the Chaos Invasion. So they can tap into a thing called the geomantic web, which is essentially a series of ley lines that crisscrosses across the continent. And as they sort of capture and rebuild their old fallen temple cities, they can tap into these ley lines and re-energize those cities themselves. And you set up connections between the cities, and suddenly you'll have access to much greater
fast travel. And
well, no, it's more powering up the cities themselves.
Got it.
So you have we have this commandment system. So when you own a settlement, you can switch commandments to give it sort of cash generation bonuses or defensive bonuses or all sorts. So they have a whole suite of new commandments of their own, but you'll start hitting major multipliers for those. So it can if you exploit the geomantic web, you can really kickstart your civic generation, your civic development.
Interesting.
Which is pretty cool. The High Elves have a much more High Elves are very insular. They're very arrogant and haughty, and they're in love with politics and intrigue at court.
Sounds fun.
So they have a lot of kind of diplomatic and political kind of gameplay built in.
And then the Dark Elves.
And the Dark Elves are malicious, twisted, sadistic. And a nasty bunch.
Excellent.
And they're very fast-moving and very brutal. So we'll talk a bit more about those in future. But
awesome.
We've got a lot of essentially great differentiation between the factions. And this was the experiment that went really right with the first one, and we were like, phew, people love it, right? That's great. Truly differentiating the factions so they play very differently in campaign and in battle, and we're just doubling down on that.
Now, for people who played the original game like myself, I know there's going to be some sort of interaction between the second game and the first game, right?
That's right. Yeah. So, if you own both games, shortly after launch, we'll be doing a free update, and for those who both own both games, you'll get a new campaign map, essentially. It's a sort of mega combined campaign map which combines the land masses of the old world and the new world.
Yeah.
And it's vast.
Yeah, it's huge. It's basically all the Americas and Europe and Africa.
Exactly, all together in the map. So any of the races that you own from Games 1 or Games 1 or 2, you'll be able to start a campaign on that map as then.
Will you be able to use the races from the original in the new?
Absolutely, yeah.
narrative?
I mean, they won't start over there because their natural start positions will be where they were in the old one, say.
So they're at a disadvantage, essentially.
Yeah, well, not necessarily at a disadvantage, but if you want to go and explore the new world, you've got a long way to trek, basically. But what's cool about that as well with the combined campaign is that we're actually there's a whole ton of new gameplay we're building and features mechanics we're building into the map for the Great Vortex campaign, the Warhammer 2 campaign itself. And all of that stuff is we're bringing over to the Grand campaign as well, to the Mega Combined campaign. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of kind of treasure hunting you can do and exploration, and there's new types of armies with really crazy kind of combinations of races fighting together. Rogue armies we call them, that will roam the landscape just slashing and burning and providing you with very, very interesting tactical challenges because they've got such a weird mix of races in them. All that is going to appear in the combined campaign as well. So if you go back to playing one of the older races, like the Empire or the Greenskins, for example, it won't feel quite like it did if you play the old world campaign. You'll have all this fresh content in there as well.
Well, this has been a live gameplay demo of Total War Warhammer 2. If we had to call the battle right now, would we win?
Let's have a look.
You do pretty well.
I'd say it's still in the balance. Yeah, it's still in the balance. It's a tough battle on the hard, this one, actually. So, But James looks like he's making good headway.
I believe in him.
Yeah.
We'll put that one in the win column. Total War Warhammer 2 is out September 28th this summer.
It is indeed, yep.
Thank you so much for coming by the show.
Thanks for having us, yeah.
Stay tuned. We still have more games to show you from E3 2017 on IGN Live after this.